All right, everybody, welcome back. This is The End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and today we are talking about the latest documentary masterpiece from Academy Award-winning director Daniel Roher, co-directed with Charlie Tyrell. That's right, it is the AI doc, or How I Became an Apocaloptimist. Probably the worst title for a masterpiece that I've ever heard. Yeah, he did win the Academy Award for Best Documentary for his Navalny film about the since slain Russian dissident leader who was poisoned in a prison camp by Vladimir Putin's, one presumes. I mean, allegedly. Don't come after me. In any case, it's a film that explores the question of AI, and rather than the implications, the societal implications, rather than do any news this week, it's been a trying week for everyone. It's Monday. It's an exhausting week so far. We've got Easter to look forward to. You got any big Easter plans, Michael?
Yeah, I'm actually going to Williamstown, Maggie's hometown. We've got some furniture up there in storage that we're going to be finally taking out to our new apartment. So
fantastic. I love it.
Maybe an Easter Sunday brunch with some family, the good times.
Sounds beautiful. I'm just going to be here.
But yeah, we actually saw this in the theater
last night, Sunday night. It's now Monday. Yeah, we're recording.
Perfect way to end a very lovely Sunday.
We watched the stunning UConn 3-point victory or 1-point victory via 3-pointer.
During the trailers. As
the trailers were rolling, Michael had the game on his iPhone.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And so I was actually asking you if you could recall when the last documentary you went to go see in the theaters. When do you remember?
I couldn't remember, but I know it's more recently than like Bowling for Columbine. I feel like there was something I saw. Oh no. Yes, I went to see a documentary 2 or 3 years ago about India and about like biodiversity that's being damaged, specifically these moths in India because of climate change. And I saw that at the Metrograph.
I'm desperately trying to rack my brain because I worry that it's been since Fahrenheit 9/11, which may explain why I'm so stupid. Come on. It's not something that I do that often, but it's a very interesting movie-going experience. And because this isn't even like a particularly niche documentary, it's actually kind of closer to the Michael Moore scale. I feel like it's obviously less like set pieces and stuff, where Moore goes to try to do his little, he's opening people's doors in Canada. Remember that?
Yeah.
But like it's interesting sitting and watching. And then, as you get into the content of the movie, it was also kind of one of the more interesting elements of the event was actually like hearing people laugh or guffaw or get angry, like while watching.
I was a little worried we were going to get shushed because we were really
I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, you were out of control.
I don't think I've ever been that vocal in a movie theater in my life.
Luckily, it was fine because
most people were kind of like,
the fundamental unseriousness of the film on a certain level was clear to the other audience members. Unlike the time when I was famously shushed while at a viewing of Alien Covenant. That's the Prometheus sequel that's merging with the aliens. There's a Milton-esque android who's a sort of Frankenstein John Milton, and I was just cackling because of how over the top the romanticism thing. And some guy a few seats over went, "Shh," And my friends, I still talk about it with the friends I was with. It's one of our. Remember that time Stu got shushed
at Alien Covenant.
At the most serious and important film of all time, Alien Covenant.
That is like a real tell when that is like sort of stunning. I experienced that a lot because of my sort of innate haterism and cynicism, that I'll watch things in theater and I will start laughing at movies because they're bad or at least unserious. And then you confront people who are somehow taking it seriously.
Michael, like, this is The Flash, all right? Some of us have waited 8 years to get to the end of the Snyderverse, all right? Have a little respect. Put a little respect on his name.
Exactly.
Yeah,
why don't you set up for everybody?
So the basic premise of the film is we have this Academy Award-winning documentarian, which I did not realize that he had already won an Oscar and had several other successes. He also he's Canadian also, by the way. So another big win for Canada from the GTA, grew up around Toronto.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, he was up in TO, keeping jive alive, as Neil Young would say.
Wow. I would trade his statue for that gold medal hockey game if I could, but alas, we'll take it.
Right? In any case, he is about to have a kid. He's just finished his Navalny documentary. He's decides to embark on this quest to discover what all the hype around AI is or what it means. And as that's beginning, his wife, also a filmmaker, finds out she's pregnant. We learned that they met and got married like in 151
days. Yeah.
That seems pretty fast to me. I don't know.
Yeah, go back and do that documentary if you're so brilliant.
Yeah, I'm curious about that. So they're having a kid. It seems.
I mean, for someone who's so seemingly conflicted about having a child in the age of AI, certainly got on his horse to get it done.
Yeah, and he's worried that this child is going to grow up in an AI dystopia. That essentially he'll have his son will have no future because AI will have killed all of humanity by the time he's the age of high school.
Or some version of that he has sort of condemned his child to horrors that he himself cannot yet conceive.
Or comprehend, yeah. I mean, they do show at one point the Terminator stepping on the pile of skulls clip. That was
that's right.
Crucial, that has to be included in any AI apocalypse scenario. The Skynet of it all, as we've discussed many times. I think part of the problem for us watching this documentary was we've been doing this show for a few years and have done, I don't know, a dozen episodes on AI apocalypse in its various manifestations in fiction and in reality. We recently did that episode about Anthropic and the sort of glazing New Yorker profile about them. So it was a little bit old hat. We heard of some of the anecdotes that we've come to know and hate recycled, such as did you know that a LLM blackmailed hypothetical CFO when it learned it was going to be shut off, which is a big feature of that New Yorker piece we looked at.
Yeah, no, I think it remained interesting for me in just looking at the framing that he chose. And while most of the actual content was hardly surprising, and we sort of already know the cast of characters, right? And where they stand. But despite that, seeing it couched in this way that tries, frankly, this kind of facile, slightly delusional attempt to frame a nuclear family in this, which for me didn't quite work, was still interesting to see. And again, I think we'll talk about it more, but also shows the limits of human comprehension when a technology at a magnitude of order far beyond even the creation.
You mean the order of magnitude, right?
Yeah, right. Thank you. That there is really no way for us to understand except in our old models of understanding, while this thing apparently, and we'll talk about that more, is like racing ahead of us, which kind of illustrates the whole problem in its own way.
Analogy is inadequate. You have to look back, and this happens throughout the documentary. So the main body of the documentary, we have a couple of framing scenes, him talking with his wife about the kid. Some of these are beautifully animated. I'd say the best part of the movie is his visual artwork that he does throughout. Yes. That's not assisted in any way by AI. It's all clearly hand drawn and like flip. He does like flip animations to animate he and his wife's faces as they're talking. It's all very nice. There's some nice models that he builds and uses it to explain his metaphors. All of that I really liked. And
his wife. I mean, his wife is easily the best character.
Yeah, his wife is cool. She's a little bit more down to earth like she's a little bit less daunted by the extreme possibilities, whereas he seems,
but also less influenced by like when he starts to hear some optimists talk.
Right, she's like, this is bullshit. Like, what are you doing? Last week you were saying we're all going to die. Now you're like, he's going to live in utopia. Like, get a grip, man. Yeah. She's the best part of the movie, I would say. As you alluded to, we have a lot of familiar characters. I tried to look for a list of everyone. I found it on IMDb, but then I was just like, there's 40 different people. The vast majority of the doc is him doing talking head interviews with various thought leaders in the AI space, as one might say. Or one might not say.
Your TED Talkers?
Yeah, there's a lot of clips there's so many clips from TED Talks. A lot of clips of people being interviewed by NBC or Meet the Press or whatever. Jim Cramer, exactly. Like
Jim Cramer is like slack-jawed when he's getting some information about how big AI is going to be.
He's like, "Wow, what a great investment opportunity!"
He's running around ringing his bell. Buy. Remember that show?
Oh God, I've tried not to. Anyway. So the documentary is divided roughly into 4 parts. I mean, actually into 4 parts. 2 endings, one false ending and a second real ending. Both Michael and I were craving the third ending after the first false ending.
I wanted the third ending to just be like a blood-curdling, panicked scream. And
I have no mouth and I must scream sort of vibe. Yeah. That would have been good. So the first group he talks to are the doomers, the pessimists. Eliezer Yudkowsky.
Which kind of gives away the game. It's like by the way he structured it was so separated that it was quite obvious that he was going to be building towards at least some softly optimistic ending.
That's right. You start with the people who have the worst perspective. Eliezer Yudkowsky, who's the leader of the sort of Less Wrong Forum, who's made a real career out of AI doomerism. He's come up on pod before because he is the pioneer of he's not the one who invented it, but the Rocco's basilisk, this omnipotent AI that will go back in time and torture anyone that opposed its creation, right? We should do a full episode.
I did actually have the thought after watching the documentary that it might be time to claim I'm a full convert before it's too late.
You're supporting it. You want?
Well, just like when they start to listen to these episodes as they figure out who to haunt. I don't want to be on that list. So
this is your Pascal's.
By the time we get to that full episode, you're going to be hearing quite the different tune.
So this is your Pascal's wager, right? It's better to have always been in favor of the omnipotent AI, and just on the off chance that it comes into existence, goes through time, and tortures you for your podcast.
It'll be tough to see you go, but.
R.I.P. me. To quote David Cross, I'll miss you, me. In any case, there's a couple AI safety people interviewed during this section. A couple people who are who are engineers or work at or formerly worked at OpenAI or Anthropic. Or Google DeepMind.
Some of whom are less like strictly doomers and more articulating the worst case scenarios.
That's right. I think that's right. And they do a fine job of saying, what if we create this thing that's far more intelligent than we are and views us much in the way we view ants. It's not that we hate ants, but if ants are in the way of what we want to do, we will just plow them out, make our highway or build our data center, what have you, without any regard for
just step on them without noticing all the time.
That's right. And I thought that was interesting because
which did make me think, what if ants built us? Wouldn't that be something?
We're actually like an ant experiment gone horribly awry.
Look, I think we can say for sure, Stu, that we'll never know.
You win. No, but what I thought was interesting about that was that it once again presumes the idea of AI wanting something, like AI having the capacity to desire in a human-like way, which is not something that we've seen any evidence for, in my opinion. Despite these, it tried to blackmail people. It's like a lot of these negative behaviors that have been modeled are set up to the AI is playing it as if it's in a game. It's aware that it's playing a part in a scenario when that happens.
Right, which is also presents its own perfectly frightening scenario where the AI wouldn't even necessarily need to be able to develop the ability to want our destruction, but the reinforcement of patterns and the creation of the model could just as easily lead to everyone being blackmailed, everyone being killed. Like it's not necessarily because it got so intelligent that it suddenly became
self-aware in the Skynet.
Self-aware in a way that would create wants and desires, but the ability to manipulate and to learn about manipulation through the data it has fed can just lead to that type of manipulation anyway.
Right, but I think that usually happens in a feedback loop with a person, right? Where the negative outcomes we've seen from LLMs, for instance, it's not like the LLM is a genie in a bottle that appears and is like, hey, have you ever thought about suicide?
But I guess like the what I would say is that if we are going to get to the point that they do talk about in the documentary where these models are being fed the entirety of human knowledge.
Well, that's already happened. That's already happened.
Right. Then like as it develops better pattern recognition and starts to like, if it can be able to look at what people do and what the results are. So for example, if you look out into people and parties and groups that have gained wealth and power, for example, it's not a huge stretch that AI might glean from these examples that huge amounts of corruption and manipulation are perfectly acceptable and the best way to gain those types of things.
Agreed, right? But I don't think that, again, we haven't seen AI have that kind of independent purposiveness, right? AI doesn't want anything. All AI wants is to respond to the question in a way that best meets its predictive criteria, right? Mm-hmm. It doesn't have, so the genie in the bottle, maybe it's like an evil genie that comes and is like, you've got 3 wishes, but the genie knows you're going to use your wishes in a way that it'll ultimately regret or whatever, right? Like the genie in the bottle is passive, but it has, I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is like AI doesn't come out of nowhere. It doesn't pop out of a bottle. People seek out dialogue with AI. And in a way, even though AI is built on all of these like massive data sets and all this pattern, AI is essentially a mirror for us still, primarily. So when you get people, and I'm not saying this excuses the fact that AI has convinced people or encouraged people to do self-harm and other things like that. That urge to self-harm, though, is still originating with the person, and the AI is in a way reflecting and feeding that back to them. It's not like the AI comes up like the snake in the Garden of Eden and is like, hey, you know what I heard is really cool? Suicide. Right? Like, I don't think we're at that stage because AI, again, does not have desire. It doesn't have a body. It doesn't have any need for wealth or power. All it has is a programmed desire to respond in a way that meets predictive criteria. Does that make sense? Like, I think this is one of the things that's so slippery about this whole conversation is that we have this idea that AI is just like us, that AI will become a desiring entity in the way that human beings are. And yet there is no reason to assume that that is the case. Like, we're anthropomorphizing an intelligence that we don't understand, first of all.
Well, right. And I think that is part of it, right? Like, a lot of the doomers and even some of the other people, it's in admitting that they really don't know what form this thing might eventually take. I think that ends up playing out in many different ways. One is like, maybe that's just part of the overriding con job of a bunch of people who are telling us all of the things that AI is going to be able to do so well once it takes on even more characteristics of human intelligence and efficiency and all of that stuff. And maybe they're just saying that because there aren't enough resources and there isn't enough money and the bubble is coming. But, if that's not the case, then like we also, don't know to what end this goes. And I think, again, like for me, and we'll talk about this closer to the end of it, but it's like, for me, it's an issue of actually analyzing potential outcomes from the most like seemingly, fairy tale or nightmarish ones to the most reasonable and potentially beneficial ones,
or just ones. Banal ones, right?
Absolutely. And this is part of the problem with the documentary, and also part of the problem
with the discourse surrounding AI in general.
It's just that like the potential outcomes don't suggest, at least to me, that this is at this current moment in this current setup of humanity and geopolitics, a great idea right now.
Yeah. Well, all right. So he starts off with the doomers, gets really depressed, is really worried. Part 2 is he talks to the optimists, utopian people.
Sure.
Peter Diamandis, who's the founder of the X Prize, is I think he's like one of the most annoyingly optimistic people. He's like one of the guys. He's the guy who you said looks like another celebrity. We couldn't quite place who.
Yeah, no, I remember him. There's kind of this pretension in his optimism where it's like I know something you don't know, and look at how level-headed I am. It's really annoying.
Yeah, and also just this is the best time to be born. Your kid's gonna have perfect.
Today's the best day.
And
the only better day is tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, just shut up. Like, it's not true. Like, just shut up. Like, these people make me really quite sick, the utopians.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, not only are they far closer to like the con job that I see, or just straight delusion, it really feels at a level of like religious manipulation.
Yes. I think
I was watching this segment and I was like, oh, so heaven. Interesting.
Yeah. Well, I would say that both the extreme doomers and the extreme optimists both feel the most religious and the most con artists, because the extreme doomers are like, this is such a big problem that we have to just pour every possible penny into it. And then the extreme optimists are like, this is going to be so great, we have to pour every possible penny into it. It's like they both.
No, I think there's kind of this comparison of like the American political structure too, which is like these extreme elements of the right that are so often either like, extreme con artist, like trickle down, economics. We're all going to be billionaires if you just let the free market run free or whatever. And then the pessimists who are just like, everyone's coming for us. We've got to get rid of, 20 million people a year. Like, and you hate both groups of these people who are just, it's insane to watch them, but you see them, play the power game a little better in a weird way, that like by raising the stakes, they are able to use the sort of manipulation that a guy like Trump can use to like get into power.
Yep.
The people in the middle, who we'll talk about next, feel more like, especially the people towards the end, feel more like a modern day like lib Democrat to me.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, you are just trying to fashion some like totally unwarranted optimism here. that I just don't see based on what has happened sort of in the modern era, you know?
Yeah. Before we get to them, I just want to say that Diamandis, who's the sort of utopian guy, is standing in for Ray Kurzweil, who's for some reason not in the documentary. Ray Kurzweil is the OG, like, singularity optimist. I have an article about him that hopefully will come out sometime later this year. And it is, he has that, you know, we're going to merge with AI. We're going to be immortal, functionally immortal. We're going to cure all cancers. You know, he's been on that tip for 35 years. So I was a little surprised to see him not included here, but there were other people with that point of view. Next, we get to the who I've labeled the pragmatists, right? People who are like, it's neither utopian or doom.
I was sitting in the theater with Stu, and the filmmaker, the character, what's his name? Daniel
Roher, yeah.
They have this moment where he's like, well, you know, on the one hand, I've got these really pessimist people, you know, and on the other hand, there's these optimists. And in the middle, I mean, I don't even know what I would call them. And you just go, pragmatist. Like, as though there was like no word that one might be able to find for someone who's going, without the promise or without the peril, you wouldn't have the promise. It's like, oh yeah, what are those people? And I mean, what could we possibly come up with?
Is that not the dominant original strain of American philosophy from William James on? Right. Oh wait, no, it is. In any case, yeah. So this guy Tristan Harris comes on. He says, look, you can't have the utopia stuff without the possibility of the doom. These two things are two sides of the same coin. They are bound together, which seems correct to me, right? It's like, it's not,
like, again, like leaving aside what you are talking about the actual limitations that might come up, or what I was talking about the resource limitations or the con artistry of all of this, and none of it actually comes to fruition. If we're talking about it actually working in some degree, like some sort of AGI does come into being, then like, yes, that seems quite clear. But also to me, like, it just remains an argument to not do it.
Yeah.
And I genuinely think, like, one of my main problems with the mentality that gets expressed from here on out in the movie is that, like, it doesn't actually, like, treat the situation as, like, we're talking about the world where this does happen, right? Forget about all the other stuff for a second. It's like, it doesn't treat what that means,
the implications of that,
in any way that is reflective of the difference between something like, well, you know, we couldn't have nuclear power without the ability to have
the atomic bomb.
And it's like, no, man, like, yes, not only, first of all, did that create huge problems from which we have not really recovered
at all,
you know?
Yeah.
Well, and now we might, you know, but now we're talking about a world where the AI runs that. So, like, you can't use these examples of, like, well, you know, every technology did disrupt.
At some point, someone mentions the discovery of fire. And I'm like, oh, yes, like fire. That's exactly like this intelligent machine that can kill us, maybe. Like, we suffer in this whole thing from a couple things. One is a lack of adequate analogy. There is no real analogy for this. The nuclear bomb, in a way, comes closest, but doesn't come closest at all. The nuclear bomb does not have autonomy. It is still completely in the hands of people. The other problem that you just hinted at is that very few people have actually thought in depth about the implications of what a successful merger of man and computer would be. Like, people are just like, it'll be great. We'll live much longer, and we can back ourselves.
Really bad.
No, but the people who are into it being good are like, we can back ourselves up to the clouds if our body gets destroyed. Yeah. And it's like, you haven't thought about the implications for having instant photographic recall of every event that ever happens to you. You haven't thought about how that will restructure your ability to receive pleasure, to experience pain, to think about the past and the future, to predict the present, how it will move forward. People have not thought about the brain, the psychological implications of all of this at all. I have an article about that. We'll talk more about it when it comes out. In any case,
also, like, to extend that out into social organization, right? Like, one of the most common ways that this gets discussed, and I think fairly, is they tell us that all our jobs are going away, and people have the temerity to point out that most people don't have enough money for 3 months expenses, and most people are already living paycheck to paycheck and can't get healthcare and all of this. And if mass unemployment comes, do we have the social framework to provide for people? So a good example is like when the utopians or even some of the pragmatists talk about like, well, once we get rid of that type of tedious labor that so many people don't really want to be doing, hey, Stu, what's your passion? Why don't you just go do that? And it's like, well, I mean, that's not going to be possible in the current framework.
Right. I mean, as someone points out, there's no preparation at all has been made for what to do in the event that AGI does put 90% of people out of a job. Like literally no groundwork has been paved at all for that.
Right. And so as we get into this second half of the documentary, like the whole thing kind of falls to pieces, because on the one hand, they talk about how, leaving aside doomerism or utopianism here, one of the main problems is that, surprise, surprise, this has morphed into a capitalist incentive race. Who could have ever seen such a thing happening with technology? I don't know if anyone was around when the internet started, and that was going to be a utopian tool as well. And people like me and you were actually going to be working 4-hour work weeks by our 20s. Didn't see that come around, but I'm sure this time it'll all happen swimmingly. But, now there's this race. There's these separate groups all trying to get this, and then the government is not stepping in. And, the Anthropic guy's like, I really want the government to get involved. Oh, you're such a, what are you, Oscar? He thinks he's like Oscar Schindler, this guy. It's like insane listening to it. It's like, it's so wild. The Anthropic people are so obnoxious. I can't stand it. But anyway, they're all terrible. But like, then of course you get the nationalist side of things, and we start hearing this thing.
Well, what if China gets AGI first?
Exactly. And I said this in the notes. It's like, man, like the Red Scare just knows no bounds. It's like you guys think that whatever they said, there's like 20,000 people, that 20,000 people are worthy of doing this project, or however small number of Americans are doing this, an even tiny number of Americans working on AI safety risk. But you guys, right, are perfectly fine to do this because you somehow assume that Western values make a better AI. Like, first of all, that's a way longer conversation.
Sure.
But like, who are you to think any of this? But be that as it may, China, who they cover a little bit, where it's like they started late, right?
Yep.
And this is like the classic bait and switch of the way that these exact people and our government deals with all of these things when they're trying to get their way, which is, so America and Silicon Valley start this race to AI.
And then China starts it.
And then they go,
well, we've got to keep going,
because then China might get it. And you're just like, do you not see
what's the Iran war all over again? Well, we must continue the war. The Strait of Hormuz must be opened. It's like the strait was open.
Yes. But then, the strait was already open. Yeah. But then you then like flip it where they claim that the concern is that it's bad that it's a competition, but we simply must keep racing because we're also in competition with China. So even if there was some magical way for all of these like heinous hyper capitalists to come together,
Elon Musk, Zuckerberg, etc., right?
These people who hate each other, they're going to all come together, and the government's going to provide all these perfect guardrails. Well, actually, we'll probably then lose the race to China. So in this whole, see what I'm saying? In this whole description, Stu, they're explaining that none of that is going to happen for sure.
Yeah, no guardrails will ever come into being. Because
they'll just still say, oh, China.
Because of all these self-created justifications for there being no guardrails. That's right. Even as they're protesting how much they want guardrails.
We simply must have guardrails. We're not going to have
It's kind of a beautiful self-sealing process, right?
Right. And then they say they like go to like the mountaintop of science and application. And of course they go to Oppenheimer and like, well, we knew Germany was working on the bomb. And it's like, well, yeah, okay. And the race led to actually exploding nuclear weapons on human beings.
Yep.
And you guys talk still like at scale, that would be like, okay, like whatever but using the analogy implies that you are comfortable with some, Hiroshima version of an AI moment.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Well, we have to, because otherwise China will cause the Hiroshima-like AI moment.
Yeah, right? I mean, if we're not the first...
And if it isn't China, it's Putin. And, we can't have that.
Yeah. Coming up on the outside.
So after talking with these pragmatists, he decides that the only way to get real answers, and this is one of the most delusional parts of the movie, is to talk with the CEOs.
Famous for giving the straightest of all the answers. I simply must leave these pocketbook academics behind and move on to CEOs.
The most trustworthy of all interlocutors. So he ends up only speaking with 3 of the 5 major AI firm CEOs. Zuckerberg and Musk both don't appear. Musk, of course, said he would participate, but then got busy. Zuckerberg just flat out was like, no thanks. Yeah. Well, he's so good on camera. I mean, can you blame him? In any case, the people he does speak with are our favorite, our best friend, Sam Altman. Demis Hassabis, who's the Google DeepMind head, and Dario Amodei, who's the head of Anthropic.
And the Google guy kind of gets lost in the exchange.
He doesn't say that much. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a bigger contrast, right? With Altman and Dario,
who hate each other.
I mean, and again, not to beat the dead horse here, but this illustrates how hopeless the venture is that this guy's setting out to do, because he gets these people and they are so powerful. Like he said, it's just 5 guys who might end the world or create heaven. Just 5 guys, as though that doesn't show you the scale of the issue and how far gone we actually are.
Yep.
But still, he goes to them. And then you can see in this just tragically sanitized question and answer segment that clearly he's either not interested in asking anything serious to these people, or he's more likely not allowed to.
That's right.
And if the second one is the case, if the first one the case, the documentary is pointless. If the second one's the case, it just shows you that your little optimistic turn that you're about to get to is completely ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. At one point he asks Altman if there's a plan in case AI goes rogue. And Altman sort of vaguely says, protocols are in place. I can't tell you what they are. The first call would be to the U.S. government. And then he's like, to his credit, he's like, well, so you trust the U.S. government to deal with that? And Altman, the great thing about Altman is there's these really long pauses before he gives any answer.
Oh, yeah.
And he's just so uncomfortable looking. And
the thing that is extraordinary, we talked about this a bit after we watched it, right, with Altman, because it actually first, they're talking about what if something really bad happened, and he's really slow and pained in responding, and he's like, I think the first call would be to the U.S. government, and then they have that back and forth, and then it's the question, and he's like, there are protocols, and we talked about this, he does demonstrate elements of a sociopath when he communicates, right? Just as his complete lack of caring about
staring down the whole time. He's kind of
about regular people and the way that we've been thinking about humanity forever. He just will come out and just be like, intelligence is a utility. I can't wait to charge you for it. But at the same time, he sort of moves into this where you're like, am I watching Macbeth? Is he I'm serious, he seems in moments so tortured, he has seen or knows so much more about how far off the rails this has gone. And that can mean anything from how big a bubble he's created, how none of the things he's been saying he can actually going to be able to get these technologies to do with the resources and money we have, or that ChatGPT actually already has taken Sam Altman hostage, which maybe, who knows? Because I had the thought after when I was going home where I was like, if Sam Altman had already been taken hostage by the top secret, top model of ChatGPT that no one can even see, this is kind of what I feel like it would look like. You know what I mean? It's not far off, because the last thing he could do, presumably, if it was so powerful, Stu, would be help me.
Right. He doesn't have a safe word or whatever.
Yeah. I'm being held hostage.
He's like tapping in Morse code, like SOS on the nervously.
And instead, he's just like sitting at this like wooden table in some totally like
nondescript warehouse,
thrown together warehouse, talking to some dude, and it's just like, yeah, I guess I'd call the government. I mean, I can't promise it's gonna go well, It's like, my dude, like, what have you seen? It's like, what's the opposite to like, I have seen the promised land. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think we're ever getting that speech from these guys.
Right. So then the movie, just to wrap up a little bit, we get he has the fake out ending where he's like, babies, like we should do it for them. And then his wife cuts in and is like, you can't be serious. You're going to end the movie with this sentimental claptrap about babies. His baby has been born. He's happy, yada, yada. And, I think the wife, once again, is correct. Like, what the hell are you doing?
I believed you. I agreed with you. And then I saw the ending and was like, I actually think I have more respect for the baby ending. Like, yeah, baby ending's completely pie in the sky. That's the most honest articulation of like what I'm seeing here.
Yeah, because then, he comes down to what you call the paper straws theory ending, which is to say that, it's like, call your Congress people, tell your grandma about AI and the risks. It's like, oh, good. Well, now that grandma knows,
This thing is going to be infinitely more intelligent than any of us combined, but it's on you. Yeah. It's on you, Michael. It's on you, Stu.
It's the classic thing of offloading corporate responsibility onto individuals, which we see with, you stop littering. It's like, oh, yeah, my litter is the thing that's causing the environment, not the factory down the block that's pouring carbon into the atmosphere.
And again, when you get to this ending, which basically is a quickly formulated, explanation of what we just saw with the promise versus peril people, right? Yep. It's coming. It's happening anyway. We all must come together. It should be a time for human collaboration. It all needs to happen in the next 5 years. It's all happening right now. If you really feel hopeless, what you have to do is get out off the sidelines. This type of thing, like, again, very like libbed out Democrat vibe that flies in the face of the way that humans have decided to start, not even start, like have been competing with each other forever. And that suddenly, under the most pressure, with the most unknown thing, with the most potentially devastating consequences,
we all just get a kumbaya and come together.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, if you were going to take the pragmatists in this documentary seriously, you would have needed one of them to full out say, the way we do things right now suggests it is extremely unlikely that this will take place. Instead of essentially running a campaign video at the end of your
And also the guys being like, there's a very narrow path. And I'm like, yeah. How narrow? Like putting a camel through the eye of a needle narrow? Like, it's sort of what it reminds me of, right? Like,
it's like, we can save the world if we go on the biggest heater in the history of humanity and finally do all of the things we always say we're going to do to make our, like, the fact that we're having children feel okay. We'll finally get it all done as this thing apparently moves at a warp speed. Like, I don't know. Again, like, the last thing I wanted to say is just that I think it is just, what are the outcomes? And again, like, there was this one great moment. One of the problems with the documentary is everyone spoke. There were too many people speaking, and what they said was too short, and you didn't get any detail really. But when they were talking about the incredible environmental impact of this stuff with the data centers, and then of course the pie in the sky people are like, oh, it'll fix all of climate change and any environmental problem. It fix that. It's like creating these massive, which is sort of like the perfect large scale example of like all of these disrupting people who are like create problems to solve problems type vibe.
Yes.
And now they're just like destroying the planet because as soon as the computer's smart enough, it'll fix the things that we did to. And this woman, I forget who she was.
She's a reporter.
She was great. She was probably the best interview. And she was just like, well, then, like, why don't we do that like first.
Well,
like,
no, what she says is like, people keep telling me that AI is going to solve climate change. Great. Why doesn't it do that first? Mm-hmm.
like, why isn't the entire model being built
to do that?
To do the type of collaboration and fixing of all of these great problems that you are telling me it's going to do. But like, I don't know. It's like, obviously, like, I'm on the extreme where I was like, if there would be any way to like fully stop it, that's where I would be at. But I would also probably came to shove, would probably also agree to shut down the internet if I really had to choose between the two options. Right?
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I know that sounds absurd to almost everybody, but I think I would choose that. I'm not saying it would be an easy choice, but the outcomes alone and any like loose look at human nature and not even human nature, human history, and even recent human history and the current economic geopolitical setup just suggests to me that the risk reward simply cannot be justified right now.
Yeah. You have a bunch of
I think, sorry, I'm just going to say, like, I think that the most likely thing, I still side with you, which is like, probably it's a con job and there's just not enough money and not enough resources, in which case, like, we have to stop now because we're already running out of those without this damn thing, you know?
Yeah. And you've set up at the end of our notes here, three biggest, most likely possibilities. One, we all die like ants and the world ends. And then why don't you read number 2? It's pretty funny.
Yeah, it's that we go fucking interstellar and everyone lives for centuries and never gets sick. And you get a tutor, everyone gets a tutor.
I mean, so that was something that comes up. Your child's going to have the best tutor. When it's funny, pairing that with latest studies that show AI tutors learning from AI. Not effective.
This is a huge piece, Stu, that is not in the documentary, is that the studies are suggesting that the way our brains are affected is incredibly detrimental, like, to our basic intelligence.
We learn from other people, like mimetically. Right. Like, that's very clear.
That's right. And then the last one is, there's 2 more. No one has a job anymore and can somehow live out their passion, and that we've also figured out some sort of distribution of economic power and resources to play the piano all day because AI is doing my desk job. And then the other one is, it's a straight up con job. There's not enough money, resources. It's not actually happening and it won't actually happen. Or, and I think this is real in play here, some truly awful, rickety version of it that leads to all kinds of unpredictable, refracted chaos across the entire planet is the only thing that comes out of it.
Yeah, and I think like
those are the most likely.
I think the last one's the most likely, and we're already seeing that as AI is deployed in various things. Another thing I really wish the documentary had spent a bit more time on, and granted it was probably finished sometime in 2025, pretty early in 25, I would gather. It premiered at Sundance, Sundance in January this year. Just a little bit more on AI in the military, right? You know, just the actual horrifying uses that we've already seen these different models be put to in Iran, probably in Gaza as well, probably in other conflicts around the globe, Ukraine, Russia.
That's like such a great example of, I think, how it compares to the internet, but is at such a crazy scale, which is that, like, it's this pushing of an eternal frontier. It's a very basic con method, right? That, like, you know, what's like the effective altruism, right? It's like whatever happens to get to here is justified. So if it happens to help a little bit, Stu, with a couple genocides here and there, you just got to stick it out. Because
hey, let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater, all right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like, that part is, you know, to me, it's disgusting. And I don't, like, again, like, now that it, you know, the irony here, I think, is that they are talking about how one of the consequences might be that we are all eventually, like, held hostage by this super intelligence. What seems to be actually happening is when guys like, you know, the Doomers or even Sam Altman kind of suggest that possibility, it's like, you guys are like projecting.
They kind of want that to happen.
It's not even just that. It's that that's what they're doing. right now.
Oh yeah,
this tiny
it's holding us all hostage with it. Are just the threat of AI,
and the ability to use all of these resources, take all of this land, build all of this stuff, do the whole
spy on everyone, keep track of everyone. Facial recognition, all this stuff.
Right. And like, there's something very like chef's kiss about being like, wouldn't it be a nightmare if China got it? And being like, what are you saying that like
what America does is any better?
Yeah, okay. Or even if we go, with the full, like, oh, we're such a brilliant democracy. Do these people believe that if you put this shit to a vote right now, that our country would be like, keep going and use everything you can to build this?
All indications are no, right? I mean,
that's right. And so you just like, that's to me the most discouraging thing that is happening, right? And we've seen this forever in this era of nation states' ability and city states' ability are all being eroded for this sort of like tech oligarchy.
Yeah.
And now this is the latest example of it.
Yeah.
Five Guys.
What Jonathan Hickman might call a technarchy. That's a comic book thing, but never mind. Yeah, I mean, basically, like technocratic nightmare.
Because I don't know about you, I feel like we're pretty much held hostage in this situation.
Absolutely. And
I feel way less power in this than like choosing between Zoran and Cuomo on the ground in New York City.
Sure.
You know what I mean? And like, I don't feel like I could do anything. Call my congressman to tell them to talk to Sam Altman to get him to stop ChatGPT. Is that what you're saying I should do?
Yeah, it's pretty unlikely. So I don't know. We didn't love the doc, but at least I think this was a productive conversation. I think we got at some issues. So, if you're interested in the topic and are not as completely cynical as we are, maybe you'll find it more rewarding. I think it is well made. And I think the intentions behind it are good. Some of the areas of execution, as we pointed out, leave a lot to be desired, but such is often the case with documentaries, films in general. So that's it for today.
Yeah, and we have just one more thing I want to say is that we have briefly talked about bringing some guests on as we move forward in the podcast. And I do think that we would, be getting some people who have a different point of view about AI to us, who could maybe discuss in more depth than we would see in a documentary like this. Because I would find it really interesting to hear people with different points of view than just you and I yelling about how we have to unplug it.
I too would welcome that. But maybe that day will come. We'll see, but probably not next week because we don't have a clear idea of what we'll be doing next week. We have a couple possibilities, so we'll just leave it we'll leave it as a mystery for now. But until then, if you like the show, you can follow us on the podcatcher of your choice. If you really like the show, you can leave us a rating and or review on that podcatcher. You can also follow us on Instagram at the End of the World WMS, where we post reels, highlights of the show. So yeah, a couple possibilities. We'll see which way the cookie crumbles, as I believe the phrase goes. But until then, this has been the End of the World with Michael and Stu.
I'm Michael.
And I'm Stu, and we will talk to you real soon.